let's add some variety into our gameplay experience. You'll see that my muzzle gun shooter script has changed a little bit since the last time we wrote it. I'm going to open it up, and what I've done is I changed my game object into an array, meaning I can now store more than one game object under that variable named ammo. That means I've also had to change a little bit about the way that I instantiate it. Rather than just instantiating ammo directly, I have to now give it a slot that I'm accessing. And I'm keeping track of that slot with a variable called current ammo. Current ammo is going to be toggled between different values that I press to allow me to swap between ammo types. I've managed my ammo types through this method called ammo manager, where I check if my number 1 key is pressed, set it to slot 0. If the number 2 key is pressed, set it to slot 1. Number 3 key is pressed, set it to slot 2, although I'm actually not using this one right now, so I'm going to delete it, but you might want to add more slots as you make more assets yourself. Let's see how this maps out in Unity. Previously, under ammo, it would show just a value for the regular whatever asset we're attaching to it, but with an array, I can actually decide a size, and I can make this bigger, and it's actually it's assuming I want lasers, the same thing again and again each time. I'm going to make this empty and set it back down to size 3. And I can slot in different types of ammo that I instantiate all in the same way. Everything will be created just like that bullet was, the exact same functionality, created and destroyed in the same way. But I can slot as many of them as I want, and then I'm using those key presses to toggle between them. I had a bullet made for you in the tutorials before. I've also now made a laser. Let's take a quick look at what it does. It also implements the ammo manager. Its speed is set. It has an explosion as well for what it does when it hits something, although its explosion is actually a different type of explosion, just for fun. This explosion is a bit of a different type of object. It's a bit of a kind of a combination of a particle system and a physics object. And if you're curious to learn more about physics interactions, you can explore that in a little bit more detail on your own. But I have this hit explosion being referenced right here, and otherwise it's very much like the bullet, just with its own customized set of settings. And because of that, if I attach it to my muzzle in one of its game slots, I'm going to keep it at 2 for now because I don't have a third one made myself. You can add more if you'd like later. I've now expanded my gun to be more flexible and to contain more items. You can add as many as you want. You could have 100 different types of bullets or ammo to swap between. And now when I run my project, I'm going to see that if I start clicking, I have this initial explosion happening that has its own little physics thing applied in it. If I press the number 2 key, I have a different type of bullet being shot that travels a bit differently, and it has its own custom explosion look. Did I actually choose different ones? Oh, I think I accidentally chose the same ones. Well, that's my mistake. But you can, of course, add any different particle system you want that's customized for it. But definitely, it's a different type of bullet. Number 1, number 2. I'm swapping between them, and they're different types of objects. Notice this number 2, when one explodes, the other ones get bounced around, which is kind of fun because they have rigid body components. This one, they travel a little bit more directly because the way they apply forces is done in a different way. So some things to peek at. The different ways these bullets are affecting the world is kind of a cool, deeper study of physics that's very much optional at this point. What I want you to know from this and be able to do, there's some weird kind of lingering effects of the particle lighting, which is interesting. I'll have to troubleshoot that later. What I want you to know how to do is to build an array of objects that gives you much more flexibility in having tons of stuff applied to the same object. And be thinking in advance about things like inventory systems to make use of this, which we'll be covering in a future week of our studies. That's all for this one.